Hello, hockey fans. Well, the Olympics are over. They're over and done with. And now we're getting prepared for the resumption of the NHL season. The NHL regular season will resume this Wednesday, and that Wednesday will begin the final 51 days of the regular season. That's right, barely over 7 weeks left, and it's gonna be an amazing run. It's gonna be an amazing home stretch. It's gonna be crazy, but where does everybody stand as of right now? Entering the Olympic break that just ended. So I'm here to lay it out, and here's what the playoff picture, if you will, looks like as the NHL prepares to resume. First off, we have the Eastern Conference, and beginning with the Atlantic Division, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning in first place. Wow. Just what I thought, the Lightning's kind of like aura from the years when they made the for those recent years when they made the Cup Finals 3 years in a row. Just what I thought that run out, they appear to be back. 78 points. They lead the division by 6 points over the Canadiens and the Red Wings. Yes, the Red Wings are in a playoff position at almost March. And Montreal's much higher than they were last year. Montreal is in second place because they have a game in hand over Detroit, but Detroit being the top three in the Atlantic, that's amazing. And in the Metro, it's the Carolina Hurricanes whose window has been kind of closing bit by bit by bit, but they still have a shot. They are leading. They lead the division 78 points, 8 points ahead of second place Pittsburgh. That's right. Pittsburgh Penguins seem to be getting their mojo back with their first year new coach. 70 points, 1 point ahead of the New York Islanders. As far as who's number one in the East, well, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning because they have 2 games in hand. So Tampa's number one overall in the East. Now the wild cards, that's where it gets interesting. Look who's on that number one wild card position. The Sabres. The Sabres, folks. The Buffalo Sabres are in a playoff position this late in the season. It is almost March, and the Sabres are within striking distance of possibly making the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. Even crazier, they are 2 points behind Detroit and Montreal in that Atlantic division. And so the Sabres hold the number one wild card position, and the number two position is held by the Bruins. Of course, the Bruins missed out last year after making it pretty much every year, damn near. But they pretty much have things back on track, and now they're in the playoff position, in the second wild card position. They are 4 points ahead of Columbus, who has been kind of up and down, but they have a shot. The Capitals, who were, I think they were number one in the East last year. Now they've got a lot of problems. They're behind the playoff line. So are the Senators. So are the Maple Leafs. Because we know what the Maple Leafs' problem is. They should have traded Marner. Philly's pretty much done in Florida. Well, Florida, it's that heavy Stanley Cup fatigue. That's what it is. And they're missing Sasha Barkov. And you have the Devils and Rangers down, bringing up the rear in the Eastern Conference. I don't know what's wrong with the Rangers. As for the Western Conference, look who's on top. Not just in the West, but overall. The overall number one in the AHL right now, the Colorado Avalanche. 37-9-9, 83 points, clinching a winning season already before the Olympic break started. But the lead is not a big one. We are only 5 points ahead of second place Minnesota, and the Dallas Stars are down to third place. In that tight Central Division with 77. In the Pacific, the Vegas Golden Knights, who kind of started slow, moved their way up to first place about a month or so ago and are still there, but with a wild record of 27, 16, and 14. Really, they've lost 30 games, but 14 of them were past regulation. Those overtime loss points adding up. So Vegas is up by 4 points over Edmonton at 64, and the Seattle Kraken in third place in the Pacific with 63 points. Seattle look like they have a good chance to make their second ever playoff appearance, and possibly for the first time as one of the top three in the division. As for the wild cards, the Utah Mammoth hold the number one spot with 64 points, and in the second spot, the Ducks. The Ducks. This has been a crazy year. These teams you never thought would actually have a shot at anything might get in. The Ducks are 3 points ahead of their freeway face-off rivals, the LA Kings, who have made the playoffs. I think the last 4 years. Um, the Kings are behind the line at 60 points. Nashville's doing much better than they did last year at 59. San Jose, they were in a playoff position. They were actually in a playoff position about a couple weeks ago, but they're behind it now, but not by much with 58. Blackhawks, anything below that's pretty much in dire straits, especially St. Louis and especially Vancouver. Lousy Canucks actually traded away Quinn Hughes to Minnesota for nothing. Oh boy. Those are the standings. Those were the standings entering the Olympic break, which just now ended. And of course, this is the bracket at the moment. If the playoffs actually started right now, these would be the matchups. Because remember, since 2013-14, since that season, top three teams each division make it, and then the other two remaining spots each conference are via wild card format. The first two rounds of the playoffs are nearly purely divisional, though some a wild card or both wild cards should actually cross over to the other division's bracket if needed be. Let's look at the Eastern Conference first. First, the Atlantic bracket. If the season ended right now and if the playoffs started right now, it would be the Lightning and the Bruins going at it. No, they have a pretty hefty playoff history. They do. It would be the Lightning and the Bruins going at it in one Atlantic semifinal. The other, oh boy, Canadiens, Red Wings, an original six battle. This used to be the Stanley Cup Finals for years back during the original six period. But this would be the first round. This would be a first round playoff series if the playoffs started right now. And of course, in the Metro bracket, you have the Carolina Hurricanes and the Buffalo. My goodness. But yeah, it would be the Carolina Hurricanes, the Buffalo Sabres, and in one Metropolitan semifinal, and the other it would be the Penguins and the Islanders going at it. In the Western Conference, the Central Division bracket, it would be the Avalanche and the Ducks. The Ducks would cross over to the Central bracket, just as Buffalo would cross over to the Metro bracket. It would be the Avalanche and the Ducks, which would only be the second playoff meeting between those two, and the other Central semifinal would be Wild and Stars. That would be good, especially since one of them's going to lose. And in the Pacific bracket, it would be Vegas and Utah. Utah would cross over into the Pacific bracket. It would be Vegas and Utah going at it in one series, and the other Pacific series would be the Oilers and Seattle. Those would be the matchups if the playoffs started right now. They would be first time ever matchups if they actually happen. But yeah, the playoffs don't start today. They actually start, if I have to guess, I think they would start on April probably 18th, because the regular season ends on April 16th. So yeah, we have 51 days left in the regular season, and like I have been doing in recent years, I'm gonna recap the playoff picture every Sunday night after that night's action's over, and of course when teams actually clinch, because there's no clinching scenarios now. When teams clinch, I'll talk about it. But so with that's a look at the playoff picture, and that's the bracket if the playoffs started now. And stay tuned for more NHL playoff picture talk.